Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast. I am Michael Cole,
And I am Matthew Cravat.
and together we are
Wild Stallions!
no. Uh, Today, I wanted to talk about a subject that I think is really near and dear to my heart, and that I at the moment, and I think you may be able to guide me through as my personal Yoda,
Mm.
because I'm
Age
assuming
matters
even
not.
yeah. Uh, so I do want to talk about midlife crises or crises.
Um, Multiple people having their own personal midlife crisis each.
Yeah,
When in doubt, rewrite the sentence.
yeah.
So,
So,
did you
oh,
know that
also,
I
I'm a
used to
little.
be in a comedy group called Midlife Crisis?
No, I did not.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay, cool. I am gonna say before we get started fully that I want. So we had one of my episodes, like episode 3 or 4 of the show was with Paul, and we did like a. I did an episode of his, he did an episode of mine, and so we called it. I called the episode "Identity Crisis on Multiple Podcasts,"
Nice.
because it was about identity. And now I'm like, oh, what I need. I used my one crisis joke, and I don't know. I don't have another one, but I was thinking midwife crisis, but I also feel like it's
Yeah, I don't know
already a
if you can
little
deliver on that one.
nice. So, um, so here I'm gonna get into the BTS for you real quick. For everybody, so
I'm
we've said it before.
55.
We
I don't know what that means, but that's okay.
behind the scenes.
Oh, I thought it was a Korean
Uh,
pop band.
it is also, um, but so Matthew and I always text on the morning of recording, and we're like, hey, do we want to talk about this today? Unless we've like discussed it ahead of time for whatever reason. Sometimes
Which
it
is
comes
rare.
up. Yeah. So today I was having a really good morning. I had a good workout, was feeling good. And I was like, oh, you know what would be really a fun topic to talk about? Midlife crisis. And then my day went downhill fast. And not directly related to a midlife crisis, but like the midlife crisis of it all is not helping the situation just because there's frustration at work and all those other things that come into play. But the thing that made me think of it was I talked to my grandfather a few days ago, and
Does he like me?
he could not know less about you. Like he,
So he
yeah,
might like me. I got a chance. Is what you're saying is I got a chance.
eh, well, I don't know. I don't know if he would like you or not. But he. So I was talking to him, and I forget how it came up. Oh, he said, "Are you going to be 39?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be 39 this summer." And he goes, "Oh." And I said, "Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm getting a little bit of gray in my beard, which I don't know if it's visible on camera, but it's a little bit. There's like spots where there's grays, and my
You're like a
headphones are covering
14
it
year
right
old.
now. But
You're like a 14-year-old pointing to his one mustache hair. Go, look, no, there's a mustache. It's coming in.
no, it's way more visible with when I don't have this crappy light and the 720 uh, computer camera on. I'm gonna get a
My
better
gray is
camera,
nice
by
and
the way.
clear. It's very much like Alan
So
Scott or Jay Garrick
I have
or
some
Hal Jordan.
grays right here that are not super visible, but it is getting grayer, and people at work are pointing it out. So, so I said, "Oh, I'm getting some gray in my beard and my hair," and my grandfather's response was, "You're gonna have to color it, Mike. I can't have my grandson looking like an old man." And
That's
I was
fair.
like, "Jesus fucking Christ!"
I'll tell you, so my
So
beard comes, has a lot of gray in it, which is why I don't have it right now. And
I thought
one
that was
time
because
I
of
said, I'm
the
going to start
pussy
like
eating.
do a little like, just for men kind of thing. And, it says you gradually darken it and nobody notices. I did a little bit. I said, yeah, I can't really tell that I did it. Went to work the next day and my friend Mike goes, so dyeing the beard, huh? Like, that's good. Never doing that again. Like on day one, he just called me out on it.
I almost bought like the jet black one and wanted to do it to be funny, not even to like make it, just like have that like jet black goatee so
Like,
that I look like the South
I
Park evil
was
version
going to
of
say, you're
myself.
evil dimension Cole.
Yeah. So anyway, I have several several fun stories that I'll sprinkle out throughout this episode. But I'm gonna sprinkle them because I also have just been really fucking depressed for the last 3 hours. So, and I was gonna interweave,
Nice. Interweave your
and also
depression
I'm
into the pod.
interested in hearing about your midlife, whatever you went through when you
Now,
were,
see,
I don't know, 5 years ago or
now
whatever.
you're when you say midlife crisis, you're trying to predicting the date of your death, right? Like you're saying, like you have to know when
Oh
when
yeah,
the
yeah.
midlife is. I
No,
don't think I,
and that's a point that I was going to make, is that I like, when you have a midlife crisis, there's a good chance you are beyond that fucking point.
right. You don't know where you're. I mean, so my maternal grandfather, drank himself and to death and smoked himself to death young, so he doesn't count. He was artificial. But my mother's mother died at just shy of 93. My father's mother died at 97. My father's father died at 103 and a half, like in the
Yeah.
summer, and he would have turned 104 in the fall. And so my dad, despite that he's fighting cancer right now, but he's doing really well with it, he will probably live to be 120. I probably got 150 in me. I mean, if you look at every generation tends to live longer than the previous, with better health and better outcomes. I'm going to be 150. So I'm not
Do
even
you,
close to my midlife crisis yet.
you're like a third. You're at your third life crisis
Yeah, I'm at
right now.
a turd, as we
Do
say in
you do
Brooklyn.
you do you want to live that long for real? I that sounds so fucking daunting. Like, imagine, just get rid of the, like, all the things that we
As
all know
long as I
about where
keep
you.
outliving wives and keep replacing them with younger models, I mean, that's the key. That's the key to enjoying a good midlife crisis.
Yeah, you could be like Al Pacino and have a 29-year-old when you're 83 and get pregnant.
So I got to do the old Jewish joke, but the priest is in the confession and the little door slides and he hears a voice say, "Father, I'm a 102-year-old Jewish man and I've got an 18-year-old girlfriend and I've been having sex with her every day." And the priest says, "But if you're Jewish, why are you telling me?" He goes, "Why am I telling you? I'm telling everyone."
Nice.
And then the priest says, "Aren't you concerned that with that age difference, like sex might be dangerous?" And the man goes, "If she dies, she dies." Two different jokes kind of slammed together.
Yeah, I don't love the thought of those slamming together, but um,
I slam like you wouldn't believe. You learn technique in 100 years.
but so back to midlife crisis.
Back to midlife crisis.
Do you think you experienced one?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think I did anything midlife crisisy. I did have my turning 30 was a rough. I'm an adult moment. I had my
Yeah.
first kid, my first mortgage. Was at my first career job for 5 years and realizing this is a career, not just a job. And all of that hit me on my 30th birthday hard. And so I had a week or two of depressive mode because of that. But that clearly wasn't midlife. That was, otherwise, if it is, I'm in trouble because that means in 5 years I'm gone. Um, yeah, like I mean, I haven't. I drive a Camry. I haven't bought my sports car. I daydream about buying an Ioniq 5 electric car, but I don't feel like that's a midlife crisis car. That's a climate crisis car. So
Yeah. Nice.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah. So I mean, I my trajectory of my life has been a slow, successful uphill, um, but gentle slope. Like I don't feel like I've ever peaked, but I don't feel like I've ever had a super huge win. Things have just gone well, and so I don't think I've had a place to have a midlife crisis where I'm like things have to change yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely in it, so I don't know. And I also feel like, okay, what I was gonna start to say when you just said the thing about winning and that attitude that you have, which is a good attitude, I'm not knocking it. I feel like there is an extent to which if I said that I'm having a midlife crisis to, I don't think my dad would say it, but he might think it. Or my dad
Snowflake.
tend
Meh,
no,
meh, meh. That's my
he would
Mike's dad
he
impression.
would he'd have just been like, "Don't you have something better to do than worry about your like?" I think that like the oh, Jeez. I just got a text from. It's really weird. I just got a text from one of Logan's friends' dads, and we haven't talked to them in a couple months, and I literally was like, I think I saw them driving, and so yeah.
It's really funny because I was about to make a joke and say like he's going through his midlife crisis and has say that he just texted you, dude, I think I'm going to buy a Corvette, and then I remembered what you did last year.
Okay. My so it's okay. So last summer, like a year ago, no, actually, almost 2 years ago, I was about to turn 37, and I wasn't really feeling the midlife crisis part of it. But so I went to Houston with work, and I'm at this bar with a bunch of coworkers. We're all, you know, somewhat drunk. Um, I actually was probably getting sober by this point in the night, and one of my coworkers said that she was 20. She had just turned 23. Now she's my boss, but she was my coworker. She said she had just turned 23, but she was refusing to acknowledge it because it had been like a week. She's like, I think in my head I'm still 22, and I was like, I
Big
just turned
difference.
37, 3 weeks ago, and when I turned 30, right before I turned 37, I was like feeling like I might be having a midlife crisis, or like I was curious because I was wondering what age it starts at. And literally, if you Google midlife crisis, it's like anywhere from 37 to 50. And it was like 2 weeks before my birthday that I thought that, and I was laughing. And this guy, he's probably your age or maybe 5 to 10 years older than you. I don't know.
And he's still alive.
That He's not. Yeah, he is, but he doesn't work with me anymore. But he, at the time, he's working with me, and he pokes me in the stomach, and he goes, you gotta. The things that can happen now are it's amazing. He goes, I'm beyond midlife, but if you get rid of this, and he pokes my stomach, he goes, you could live definitely more, than twice what you've currently lived. And I'm like, great, great,
So
thank you
so the
for
flip side of
poking me in
that
the.
is he's telling you you're on a path to death from bad health. Like that's what you
Yes.
right now you're on a path to death. That you're
Also,
past
he
midlife.
wasn't a skinny dude. Like, I don't know, but anyway, so he did that. So I just that was at one point, and then a week later, we're back in the office. I'm working with this other guy, and we went go out to lunch, and when we're doing it, we pass a Corvette, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool model. Like that's those mid-70s ones are really what I like. And he goes, oh, I'll find you one. So he found me one on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, that's cool. And I like showed Sarah, and Sarah's like, "Get it," because it was like just in that like price range where it was like not a problem for us to do. And she's like, "You're not going to get this opportunity again. You've been talking about it for 20 years." And she talked me into it. So
She's
yes,
like, I can have
it,
sex with a guy who owns a Corvette without you getting mad at me.
I wouldn't have got mad at her before. I'd have been like, as long as I get a ride in the Corvette, you can ride on whatever now.
That's what I call a stick shift.
Pimp, yeah. But anyway, so um, yeah.
So my almost dip into midlife, my trouble turning 30. I'll tell you this cute little story. I my birthday is November 1st, day after Halloween. So I came home from work on Halloween night. Like I say, I was just Jacob, my oldest, was 2 months old. So it's new. We're in a new house. We've been in for like 6 months, and I come home and I'm stressed. And my wife knows that I'm not in a good mood, not doing well. So I get home and we get Jacob dressed up in his little Superman bunting outfit, without even a costume because he was so small. He was just like a little covered his diaper, and he poops all over it. Right within 5 minutes, he poops all over it, and I'm just like furious. I'm like, of course this goes wrong. And she goes, okay, go upstairs. I've laid out clothes for you. Take a shower, and come out and put on the clothes I laid out. Like whatever, she wants to got me a costume. I go up, and she had laid out just slacks and a dress shirt, like what I wear now to go to work. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I take a shower, I come out, get dressed, I come downstairs, and Jacob's godmother, one of our best friends, is over, and they're drinking wine. And suddenly I say, for my 30th birthday, I'm having a threesome. This is amazing. I'm feeling a little better now. And the doorbell rings, and I'm like, goddamn trick-or-treaters, so it's Halloween night. So I run to the door, open the door, and it's a buddy of mine from my comedy troupe. And he's like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? And he goes, I don't know. Walks in. I'm like, what the hell is he doing here? And like 5 minutes, and he's just sitting there, he won't say a word. And like, no one's telling me nothing. 5 minutes later, doorbell rings again. I go to the door. It's another member of my comedy group. And I go, oh, I get it. I'm going out with the guys, and our friend is here to keep my wife company. Not as good as I thought. So eventually the whole comedy troupe is there, 4 or 5 guys, whatever, and we head out to the Dollhouse strip club. So I'm like, okay, great. We're at the Dollhouse, and I'm feeling like extra old because all these, young women. And then this one, they get me a private dance, and this one girl's dancing for me, and she goes, so why are you guys here? And they go, because he's 30. It's his birthday at midnight. He'll be 30. And she goes, oh, I'm 31. And I said, well, she's smoking hot. So maybe being 30 is not that bad. So I'm feeling a little better about myself. I'm like, this thing's not that bad. And then it's a little before midnight, maybe it's 11:30, and they're like, we got to go. I'm like, what do you mean? It's almost my birthday. It's like, no, we got to go. The rest of the night waits. I'm like, whatever. Drag me out. We get in the car. We end up in 5 Points in Raleigh at the Rialto Theater, soon to reopen. And at midnight at the Rialto Theater is Rocky Horror Picture Show back then. And so it's Halloween night. So the place is packed to the gills. And my friends are like, you got to do the underwear run because it's your birthday. And it's not your first time here, but it's your birthday. You got to do it. So I'm like, fine. So strip down, go up for the underwear run. And I'm looking around me, and there's all these girls around me who are, I hope, college age. Maybe they're younger than college age. And all I can think is, someone put clothes on these little babies. Like, I'm like looking around for a blanket to throw on them. And I never felt so old. To this day, I never felt so old as when I wanted to cover up all the half-naked women around me.
Yeah.
And when I got
Nice.
home, our friend had left. She did not stay around for a threesome. So there you go.
Yeah, for my 30th, I got married 2 weeks later. So
Yeah, it's a good call. And we've been married 5 years. Like, it was everything was happening that year. It was lots of lots of things that said you're an adult now, you're an old man now. It's all going to go downhill. But it went pretty well from that, because I was in a comedy troupe, but soon after that I took over the comedy troupe. I became the director of it within the next year, and then I had that group for like 15 years. So things went well. Had my career that was 5 years. I worked there another 15 years after that too. A lot of things went 15 years.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I am aware, but
Yeah.
that's so. I've been, I talked to you a couple days ago about trying to get an LLC formed so that we can potentially start monetizing. But I'm like, I've been in, and I've been working for 20 years, and I have been laid off, and I've had and I just at the point where I don't love the helplessness feeling of a job, like, and so I want to have, I felt like by this point in my life I should have a little more control. I feel like I'm still as I feel like I'm passing the age where I'm at the age where uh I'm not, there's all kinds of things that like people my age don't do anymore, but I'm still feeling like I'm like trapped the way a like child would be, like trying to and I get it. I get that's just part of corporate America and America capitalism and everything else, but
Well, I think what will help you getting through this is this podcast and your YouTube videos and your writing that you do. The fact that you have not become the corporate drone who's like, you get home at 6:30 from your job that's supposed to be 9 to 5, and all you're thinking about is, I need to get back on my computer after I eat something and do some more work because I'm going to
yeah,
make it in this field and I'm going to go higher and higher. And that's a nightmarish place to be. And having being the creative person you are and having creative outlets and not letting those go, like not say, well, guess I'm not going to do creative things anymore because I've got a corporate job now that I've been at for 2 years and it's going to be serious. That's
yeah,
where you live. Like, and I mean, that's one of the things that, out of all the gifts my father gave me, my father's a musician on the weekends, and in the evenings he sits
yeah,
around and picks. And that example of what you do during the day for your job, that's to make money to do the things you want to do when you're not at your job. and that
Yeah,
has
I
always
get
helped
that.
me not get obsessed. It's probably also held me back in my career, that that I probably could have been where I am now 10 years ago more if I had obsessed about it. But I'm kind of happy slowly getting
Yeah,
here and enjoying life with my wife and children.
yeah, yeah, I get that. It's gray as fuck, and on gray days I have a really hard time, and so I think that's not helping things. But I just was like, just kind of like, ugh, I don't, and I did like an amazing workout. Really thought it was gonna beat it today. Like I ran a mile, I rode 6 miles on a bike. I did like I lifted. I felt like great going into the morning, and
You look
then
good. You look vibrant.
thank you. I actually was thinking that I look like I have giant tits right
That's what I
now.
meant. That's what I meant by vibrant.
Yeah, and I've been like visibly like if I look in the mirror when I'm standing up and stuff, I've been losing weight like slightly, not like a ton, but I've been
Fine.
doing a lot over the last year to try to make myself physically better. As
Because that guy
part of
poked you in
like
the stomach.
no, that was 2 years ago. No, honestly, it was just because I wanted to feel better and because I wanted to be healthy to be able to keep up with Logan. And that's when I started doing. It was mid June last year. I started getting back to trying to run or do something every 2 days or so. And so I've been doing a lot, and I've gotten a lot. I mean, I've I I'm in. I need to lose some weight still, but I'm doing a lot better. And and yeah, I look at myself and I'm like, oh, I got titties. I will
It's, pro-
say
it's probably
one
because you've
thing.
lost stomach, so it looks different because you are
Yeah,
losing weight.
maybe.
That's making the
I also think it's
proportions
just the
wrong.
way I'm sitting right now. I think it's
Yep.
like the seat,
Yeah, well, that's the
but
way it was happening with the shirt I was wearing last time we recorded. I'm like,
yeah,
I look like I have titties doing this. I hate this shirt. I want to go change my shirt in the middle of this record.
yeah. I'll just
Tomorrow, I'm
take my
not
shirt
changing out of
off.
my work
I'll take
clothes.
my shirt off. We could take our shirts off. Well, next time you're going to record, you could come here. We'll take our shirts off and we'll suck each other's nipples. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Um, I,
Alex,
I've got a bad connection. Uh,
Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson. You know what I'm talking about?
no, do they suck each other's nipples?
No. Oh, there's this guy prank called. He got Tucker Carlson's
Oh, the
number.
AI thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. We'll suck each other's nipples to show
I realized it was
Georgia.
fake when he said he wanted to suck my nipples.
Yeah. So the other side of things that I've been working on the last year, it's probably starting in the fall last year, was my mental health, and I've talked about it on the show a little bit. Trying to get rid of the voice that is in my head, like actively fighting the voice fighting to not, you know, be Smeagol, just or Gollum or whatever one's the one that called me. No one loves you. Like because that
Well,
is
the
the
voice would be Gollum, and you'd be Smeagol fighting
okay.
the Gollum
Okay,
voice.
so
Yeah.
I've been trying to get rid of the Gollum voice in my head,
Not that I'm a geek. I'm just saying.
and so there's been a lot of moments where because of that, I have like that voice. While it was really destructive to me, was probably really constructive in keeping me from being a complete asshole. And I'm like, what if I'm like, is this, what if I'm getting to this age because I've stopped doing that voice in my head. And so if I, like let's say I said something, you look ugly today, or jokingly, but trying to
Thank
be
you.
funny, but clearly hurt your feelings. A year ago, I'd have gone home and I'd been like, I hurt Matthew's feelings. You're a piece of shit. Why would you do that? Like, and I would like beat myself up about it. And I'd come back and I'd apologize and I'd feel bad about it forever. Now I don't really have that. And that is like this dangerous thing. And I was like, I don't, is it because I'm getting rid of the voice, or is it because I'm like becoming this like cynical middle-aged douchebag? Like I don't know what is going on.
Did you watch Ted Lasso?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
then never mind.
I have not seen the season. I haven't
Yeah,
seen the
yeah.
final episode
I
yet.
figure you haven't seen today's episode, but
No.
there's a parallel in it. And I can't
Okay.
reference it now because you haven't seen it yet. I figured it'd be safe for
Here,
the
I'm gonna
audience
take my
because this won't
headphones
air.
off.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
I'll
take my
just say it to
headphones off.
myself.
You reference it, and I'm not editing this episode till after I've seen the episode. Okay, so just hold up your hand when you're good. Okay.
Okay, podcast listeners, if you watch Ted Lasso on the season finale, Roy calls a Diamond Dog meeting, his first Diamond Dog meeting. And in it, he says, I don't feel like I'm becoming a better person. And I want to be, stop reading my lips. Stop reading my lips. He's reading my lips. And I feel like I want to be a better person. And everyone kind of brainstorms how to be a better person. And then finally, what they come up with is there's no becoming a better person, or not becoming there's no becoming a perfect person. There's just becoming better. And it's by trying to become better. It's by seeking out help. It's by accepting help, listening to the help, and trying to be a little better every day. That's what Michael needs to do. But I can't tell him that because it'll ruin the Ted Lasso Diamond Dog moment. Kill him. Come on back. Come on back.
Okay,
Come on
so
back.
what? So it's funny because so I took my headphones off. Logan's playing FIFA, and I can hear the soccer cheering while you're talking about Ted Lasso. I just hear,
Perfect.
you know, and I'm
He's
thinking
here.
of it being
He's there.
like
He's every fucking where. Roy Kent. Yeah.
Danny Rojas. But it was funny at one point when you were talking. I was like, he could literally be just saying whatever the fuck he wants, and it doesn't have anything to do with Ted Lasso.
At one
'Cause I
point,
could not
are you
tell.
reading my lips? Stop reading my lips.
Oh, I didn't see that. At one point, I looked and I could kind of read your lips, so I looked away.
Yeah, it's funny. You looked away just as I was saying, "Stop reading my lips."
That's
It'll
probably
be
why,
good.
yeah.
When you watch the video,
All right.
you will see it, and you'll say, "Ah, that worked well. Good one,
Yeah.
Grasshopper." Yeah. So I have watched Ted Lasso. Your problems will be solved. That's all I'll say.
Nice. Okay.
End this record and go watch Ted Lasso.
Oh, I'm planning on watching it tonight.
Yeah. It's funny. Wednesdays used to be New Comic Day in my life. Wednesdays was New Comic Day because when comics came out, and me and my buddy Elliot would go buy comics and have lunch together, from work. And now it's become Ted Lasso Day. Like for a little while, it was Obi-Wan Day. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what it becomes next.
Yeah. I didn't realize you'd watch Ted Lasso, so I'm excited that
I love the Ted Lasso.
Yeah, but I know you hate Apple, so I just didn't think you would watch Ted
Lasso. I hate the interface of Apple products. I don't hate the company as a company. They do slave labor well.
Yeah. Yep.
But I mean, I also like Foundation a lot. I mean, on Apple TV, I don't know if you watched the Foundation sci-fi show. It's based on Isaac Asimov's classic novels, which are so dense I could never get through them. It would take you a year to read one because I couldn't get through them. They're so dense. And I'm gonna have to. Season 2 is about to come out, and Madhavi and I are like, we have to rewatch season 1 because it's so dense. Like we don't remember it all anymore. You're gonna have to rewatch it before we can watch season 2.
You should watch on Apple TV, and I think season 4 is coming. It's called For All Mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it at all?
I have not.
I think you would like it. So it's alternate. It's not sci-fi. It's just alternate history where the Russians beat us to the moon. And how that affects all of history afterwards, basically. At the end of season 3, they were like in around 97, 98. And I was like, oh, I remember this and I remember that. And I'm like, I do not remember that because it didn't happen in real life. But there, it's a kind of a cool show. There's some, it's entertaining, but it's also got some really cool like stuff interwoven. But I did come with a checklist of things to talk about. You can't see that, but
you did homework.
Yeah, I did actually. I basically listened to sad music on the ride home from work, and when I got home, I pulled over. No, I listened to "Turn the Page" by Bob Seger, and then I listened to "Carry On" by Fun. So it just was like, it wasn't like super sad in like the traditional way. It was more like just like very life is passing you by kind of music. It really fed into the feeling.
Alexa, play my sad song list.
Oh, I used to have a playlist to make me cry, and mostly I would do it for like, oh, I need to shoot something where I'm crying, so, and I'd put on the music, and I would indulge that voice in my head, and I would just be like, you will never make your father proud, and I would say things like just terrible things in my head to make myself
proud. I'm the favorite son, so I never had that one.
No.
I could be the least successful, and it wouldn't make a difference. I'm the best.
Yeah, I don't think it's not true. It's just like
Yeah.
You can still indulge that.
Did
But
there's an old I think it was a Phil Hartman sketch on SNL where he was hearing voices in his head telling him to kill people. I don't know if you ever saw that one. It was kill, kill, kill.
sounds familiar.
And then later he's like, who's that actor in the 40s? And Keel, Keel. Oh yeah, Howard Keel. And it was like kept saying different things that sounded like Kill, the voice in his head that wasn't Kill.
Nice. Was
It's a
it
good little
John
sketch.
Lovitz's voice?
I think it was. I sound like I'm doing love
Yeah.
it because we're Jews. It's just
Yeah.
that's my voice. It's just a Jewish voice.
No.
But I do think
There's
it was
plenty of Jewish voices that don't sound like John Lovitz.
three. There's three that don't.
I'm,
Yeah, I think it was Lovitz doing the voice in his head.
Yeah. You could just tell by that, like.
Yeah, my
Yeah, that's the
impersonation
ticket.
of the voice. Yeah, I saw a picture of Lovitz on the writers' strike, and he had a sign that was a picture of the critic, and it said, "It stinks," and then in parentheses, their offer. I was like, that's very nice, going back to the classic critic moments.
Yeah. So, I've kind of run through almost all my bullet points, but then
and you got to delete half of them.
Yeah. I just death has been like the idea of like part of the midlife crisis for me has been the thought of like, well, what if it's not the midlife? What if
I'm
I'm
3/4?
way closer? Yeah, like because I have by this point in your life, most people have people who've died that are the same age as them. Like and I have two friends from college that are dead that have been dead for a couple years each. I'm amazed. I don't think anybody from my high school graduating class has died. Like, which is, I mean, it's because we're a small class, but it's also, we graduated high school 20 years ago tomorrow, and like it's just kind of, there's all these like weird little things, and you think about like all the, when I hit 27, I remember being like, oh, I'm 27. I'm at that age where all the people died. And when I hit 28, I'm like, I'm older than Kurt Cobain ever
My
was,
list
and this person ever was.
Got a list on the wall of celebrities on the calendar to see who you pass. Check.
Yeah. This year, do you know who I'll be older than this year? Or not old, I'll be as old as they ever were this year.
You already beat Jesus. And you didn't start your own religion, so failure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Martin Luther King.
MLK.
He was 39, and it's like that's another thing is I'm getting to that age where I'm like I look at people back in the day when they were my age, and I'm like, that guy was 39. Like I would have guessed he was 55.
Oh yeah, people used to look older than they do now. It's one of my favorite humans of all time who passed away a couple of years ago. The amazing James Randi. And in the documentary about him, An Honest Liar, there's a clip of him on the Tonight Show with Carson, and he's doing like a typical escape, like he's with regular like twine or string. He's tied to a chair, and he is an escape artist, and he escapes from it. And then he makes a comment about, I'm 55 now, I'm getting too old to do this, and the motherfucker looks 80. And you think about it, like Ben Kenobi, Alec Guinness was in his 50s, like he's about the age that what's his name, the new Obi-Wan is. Names escape me because I'm old. But
and then I look at you, and you're 55,
and the Golden Girls, like the original Golden Girls, except for the mother, they were all supposed to be like 55. They all just retired from their careers, and they went to live together in Miami. They look like my grandmother did after she died, and they're supposed to be 55. And they probably were. The actors probably were.
Yeah. You're 5 years older than my grandfather was when I was born. And so I have all these pictures of my grandfather holding me, and I would have guessed. And my grandfather, he's going to be 89 next month. He doesn't look
feels
bad
so
for
old
89.
when your grandfather and my father are in the same age group.
Yeah. But he doesn't look that bad for 89, but you look at him when he was 50 and you're like, that guy
he hasn't
60,
changed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a real weird like thing where you're just like kind of like that and I get it. Life's a lot different now. And we have a lot as far as nutrition, and we're not smoking.
I think it's because we're eating more preservatives. I think the preservatives are preserving us. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
But
that's because the other thing is, oh, I do remember something that I didn't get to write down because I forgot before by the time I pulled over to write it down. Uh, and I got to say it before I forget. It's weird to be getting to this point where I'm worried about the preservation of my life and living longer and trying to working to do all these things when I spent so much of my life like wanting to die. And as somebody who's had severe depression for so much of their life, it was really weird. I mean, I wanted to die. I started at like 13 being like, I'm ready to go. Let's like get it over with. And there are days where I'm exhausted now. I'm like, all right, let's get this over with. But it's not the same thing. Like if we're in a car and someone's driving like an asshole and I think I'm about to die, I'm like, hey, and I'm physically working out and I'm thinking about the future and I'm trying to get myself to be healthy. And that is a weird shift in my thinking also. And so now when I'm like, I'm I'm already beyond halfway done and possibly, and there's all these, and I'm like, this is the goal you've been working towards for the
yeah,
last 25 years.
supposed to want this.
But yeah, but as is everything in my life, with the exception of Sarah and Logan, uh, once I get a goal, I am immediately not satisfied with it. And so, of course, getting to an age where it is death is coming quicker and quicker, and I'm finally like, no, 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 I don't want to die. I forget there was a country song in the '90s. You go in screaming "Giddy up" and you come in screaming "Giddy up" and go out hollering "Whoa," like
Huh.
meaning like
I thank you for the
yeah,
meaning.
yeah.
Meaning you fuck
And I
horses.
100% feel it. Well, I was yeah,
Okay, podcast listeners, in case you didn't get what he's saying, is you get in the beginning of your life, you're very excited and you want to get older faster, you want to do things, and at the end,
yeah,
you want to slow down because you don't want to die so fast. Just in case you didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah. It very much is the toilet paper roll effect, where the beginning you've got all this, you got all of it ahead of you, and you're like, okay, this is
You
gonna last
blow my nose
forever.
while I'm taking a dump. It's fine.
And then yeah, and then by the end you're like, oh, there's nothing left. So
Borrow a square.
and I'm 38 years old and I feel that way. It's so exciting.
You're on the downside of your Sherman, but you might not be. 38's young.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
your dad is, your grandfather's 85. You're doing fine. You got tons of years ahead of you. You said each
yeah.
generation tends to live longer than the previous. If your grandfather's 85 and still going, then your dad's going to be 95 and still going, and you're going to be
Well, it's not his
112.
dad.
I don't
It's
care.
my mom's dad, but
Still works.
yeah. His actually, it's real weird because my grandfather, so he's gonna be 89. I'm pretty sure his dad died at 89. And so my grandfather has this completely different, and I don't know if he had a midlife crisis. I should ask him sometime. But he has, so my grandfather is, like I said, he's going to be 89 next month.
At my
His
age, our
father,
midlife crisis was at 20 because we didn't know.
yeah, his father died at around 89 in 1984. Um, so he had like that as a good example of like, oh, I'm going to live a while. And so my grandfather has been talking about, like you were earlier, talking about living to 120 he's been talking about for years. And his older brother died 2 years ago he was a month shy of 99. And there's a lot of speculation that if he hadn't been secluded due to the pandemic, if the pandemic had never happened and he hadn't been secluded, he would have lived
Another
longer
year or
because
two, yeah.
he'd have had some social aspect that he didn't have those last 2 years or last year. And now my grandfather's older sister is going to be 97 in July. So like he has a ton, and his mother was 86 or 7. So like they've had this like ton of history to like expect to live a long time. And so he has had such a different outlook on life than I have. Um, but he also is one of those people. There's this old Aziz Ansari bit where he talks about Jay-Z. If Jay-Z slipped on a banana peel, he'd just get there quicker. But the rest of us typically are the ones who would like step on it, slip and fall, and hurt ourselves.
Or you would just
And he goes,
glide.
some people are just so cool that they're just going to slide there. You're like, I got where I was going quicker than I expected. And my grandfather is like one of those people where like I think everything he does, he's just like, oh, that was as easy as it should be. And I'm like, I could be holding a cup that has like less than a quarter inch of water and it's 9 inches tall, and I'm holding it like this walking, and somehow I still spill the water all over the fucking place because there's no level of careful I could be that corrects it.
You must embrace the water spill. You're just creating water slides wherever you go. And who doesn't love a water slide?
Logan doesn't. It's a fight we're gonna have this summer because he does not want to try a water slide, and I'm like, dude, it's like one of my favorite things in the world. I need you to try. There's one at the gym. I'm like, it's not that fast. You go down it and see how you like it. You like the pool, like you love going underwater, and I'm like, just it's not that intense.
Yeah, I like water slides. Now I can, as an old man, I can take them or leave them. Like the things that used to be exciting, like roller coasters and water slides, it's like that like were thrill rides. Now it's like, I mean, I'll do it, but eh, I've burned
Yeah,
out of being. But a couple of years ago, we took the kids to Concord, North Carolina, outside of Charlotte, where Great Wolf Lodge is. We went to Great Wolf Lodge, and Madhavi was like, "You're going to have to take Leah on all the, in the slide and play with her because, I'll watch the boys. You go to, Leah, she wants to be with you." I'm like, "Great, I have to do all this crap." And we get there, and we walk into the big giant watery area where the slide is, and she screams, Leah, and runs away from me. I'm like, "What the hell?" So I go running after her. Our next door neighbors are there at Grateful Lodge, and she's like hugging her best friend, and they turn around and run off together to go on the slide together. And I turned to her dad, Ajit. I'm like, "Did we just get a reprieve?" And he's like, "I'm so happy you're here." And so we hung out, me and Ajit, and watched the kids play together. We didn't have to play with them. It was a good fathering moment.
nice, nice. Um, Something that when you were talking about the water slides and how you could take them or leave them, I was thinking about all the things that are I'm starting to experience in my that I think are occurring. So not erectile dysfunction, just so we're clear. I don't have that problem yet.
I mean, it's not
And
a problem. I just don't care.
yeah, once I have a problem, I've always thought like, oh, I'm gonna finally get some peace and quiet. I'm not definitely not gonna be the Viagra kind of guy, but and I never expected this, so you probably can't see it on camera, but as my hair has been growing out because this is the longest it's ever been, I think, in my life. It's thinner than I ever expected it to be, and
Hmm.
I'm just like, oh, do I need to take like one of those supplements to make my hair thicker? And I'm probably gonna have to go get a colonoscopy soon because I'm at the age when my parents started needing colonoscopies, and I was just like, it's fucking like an avalanche of old age shit.
Yep.
Also, and this is just a blue-eyed person thing. This is not a old thing. Do you have blue eyes? I have very light blue eyes,
I have blue eyes
and
with like a yellow corona around my pupil that kind of explodes like a corona, and so
yeah,
from
I have the
any
same thing.
distance away, it looks green. Especially if I'm wearing green, the yellow and blue kind of blend, and it looks green. But if I'm wearing blue, it just looks blue. So my eyes kind of
Yeah,
change depending on how close you are and what color I'm wearing.
yeah.
But
I
yeah, the
have
baby blues.
yeah, so I went to the eye doctors last summer and I did all the tests that they do, and I don't have macular degeneration, but I have low macular pigment, which is common for somebody in with light blue eyes. It's common for us. And they were telling him, but you got to eat more orange peppers, and you should wear sunglasses whenever you're out and
Orange
outside. And
peppers as opposed to red, yellow, or green.
they specifically orange is what they
Yeah,
said. Like there's some
it's
piece in
not
it.
bad.
It yeah, and so
I'm not much of a
they
fan of green
said
peppers. I find them bitter. I like red, orange, and yellow more. So orange peppers.
yeah
I'll move to orange peppers.
yeah.
Well, honey, I
So
have
I've
to. I
been
got blue eyes. I got to eat orange peppers. I got blue eyes.
yeah. So anyway, so they give me all this information, then they give me a brochure, and it is called it's for to know about advanced no age related macular degeneration, and it is like a
Age related.
fucking yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have it still. I may have. No, I don't think I have it still. But it was like fucking old people, like my grandparents kind of old people sitting on the like they're on a bench. It was like the old, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm 38. I think I was 37. I don't think my birthday had come around when I had this doctor's appointment. I'm like, don't get like have something for us young people who just happen to have blue eyes. This is fucked up. And I went. I was late to work that day for that doctor's appointment, and I show up and it it was before Saba was working there, and other people that give me a lot of shit about being old. But I like pulled the pamphlet out of my bag, and I'm like, they gave me this, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like,
That's
"I
for like
know, it's just because I'm
50-year-olds.
blue-eyed." And then I was talking to Saba months later, and she making fun of me for being old, and I said, you have like dark brown eyes. Like if you were 100 years old, you would not have this problem, and I'm 38 and I have this problem. Like this is like a completely just genetic thing, but they are some reason pinning it on, and they're putting out like no joke. They're just like the brochure is these fucking old people, and I was like, it's so insulting. But
Yeah, that's how percentages work, though. You know, when I used to work back in my drug days, when I worked on
they can't
prostate
make a
drug.
pamphlet. They can make a pamphlet for those of us who are under 40 that have.
Sometimes FDA get mad at them if they do. If people look too young in your stuff, that doesn't look like a typical patient. If it was made by a drug company, I don't know what that pamphlet was. Because a
I'll
lot of
just
times,
make it a bunch of like fucking Swedish people or something.
yeah,
So they're like, un flugen flugen dugen,
yeah, my
you know.
macular disintegration.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have a colonoscopy. Oh my
So
god! So I do want to say something. My dad does this. My dad has to have endoscopies and colonoscopies
meet in the middle.
annually or semi-annual or whatever. He every single time he goes in, and they never find this joke funny, which makes it so much better that he does it every time. He tells them to do the endoscopy first. He said, "Make sure you do the endoscopy
Yeah,
first," and not a single time has it because it's a different camera.
I want it clean. Of course, you want it clean. It makes perfect sense. I'm totally with
and
him.
and every time he comes back and he goes, they just rolled their eyes at me, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's
you
amazing how
gotta,
people who deal with life and death, don't get jokes.
I know,
Actually, when I donated bone marrow once from the leukemia bone marrow match national registry, my dad came with me, and first of all, he was amazed at how nice everyone was, and he couldn't at the hospital, and he couldn't figure out if it was because we were in North Carolina, not in New York, and he used to work with hospitals a lot, or if it's because I was donating, to the goodness of my heart. Like he wasn't sure why they were being so nice, but they were being nice. So my dad says when I'm in recovery, he says to the nurse is going through some of my, what I can expect over the next week. And my father goes, well, will he be able to play piano? And the nurse says, oh yeah, sure. And I'm like, what? Why would you say that? Like, and he goes, great, because he never could before. This is going to be amazing. And I was like, how can you be a medical professional? I've never heard that joke before and walk right into it.
That's amazing.
Uh,
I knew exactly where you were gonna go with it. I don't think I've heard it before though. But I'm not a
and
medical professional, so
yeah, and it's funny because I had said to them when they said, is it okay if your father comes back? I'm like, I guess. And they go, well, is there a problem? I said, no, he's just annoying. Like, you're not going to want him back here. Like, those are my parents, because both of them. My mother comes back right away. She's a cooler of snacks. Do you want an apple? I got a banana. I'm like, I'm recovering from surgery. Gonna shove food down my throat.
yeah.
Because she's a Jew. That's what they do. It's done with love. It's done with love.
I'm Italian. It's very similar.
There's a difference, though. You know the difference between an Italian grandmother and a Jewish grandmother is?
I feel
An
like it's gonna
Italian
be
grandmother says, eat or I'll kill you. A Jewish grandmother says, eat, you're killing me.
nice. Not where I thought it was going.
Not where I thought it was going. Thought it was an oral sex joke, didn't you? It wasn't.
No, I thought it was a nose. I thought it was gonna be a nose joke. I thought it was gonna be.
No, we got similar noses in the region. Statuesque Roman nose is a little straighter than a Jewish broken nose, but
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we
we can wrap things
wrap
up.
it up? Yeah. We should have like a mid-episode crisis. Maybe I'll.
I think you did. You're gonna have to delete that. We had one, and you have to delete it. Which is funny because
at this point, Michael was having a mid-episode crisis, and we'll just put
I
that on screen.
I have a coworker, Andrew. If you're listening, hi Andrew. And we tend to take a between 2:30 and 3:30, if we have no meetings, we take a walk around the building. Like we leave through the front exit, the building, walk around to the back entrance, touch the door, then walk back to the front again. So it ends up being like a little under a mile, doing the double lap thing. But just to take an afternoon constitutional, get some fresh air. And on our
Yeah.
walk today, I told him about the conversation we had about churds on a previous pod. And I remember that you said you were going to delete parts of it or beep parts of it. And I'm like, oh, wait, I haven't heard that yet. I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot. We have multiple ones in the can. So it probably hasn't, that one may not have premiered
Shirts
yet.
in the can. Is that where
So
this is going?
I can't wait to listen to it and see what you like. That's going to be exciting to see what you edited it at, like that, and what it ended up being. Because you take out everything I say, it's funny. So I'm just curious of how that one's going to end up being.
I don't think I can take everything out. I think I'm just gonna
just
leave
beep the
out.
last important part.
Yeah, just
What it means
the
is
definition.
beep, and then we're just laughing through the whole
I'll
thing.
put like a little editor's note in and just be like, hey, if you're hoping to find out what that means, go look it up because we're not airing that shit. It'll be our.
Not airing that shit, huh?
Yeah. It'll be our John Benet Ramsey episode. Anything to plug?
Yeah, I guess I do. Replug because we only do so many things. We got to plug them over and over again. I made a new CK's kitchen video. The last one I had made was like when you were out of town when I did it for Logan when I did the baked ziti bolognese. And what was interesting, the baked ziti bolognese went off without a hitch. It was a perfect video. This one I totally screwed up. I substituted an ingredient that could not be substituted. And it was a disaster in the making. So the video is really funny because watching it, you're like, I titled it a disaster, but you're like, oh, that's not going to work. How do you not see that's not going to work? And then like 7/8 of the way through, I'm like, why did I not see this wasn't going to work? But does it work at the end? Do I pull it out? Oh, you have to watch to see. And ironically, I mentioned in it, or CK mentions that I don't like green peppers because I find them bitter and I just don't find them attractive. And I use the poblano pepper instead because it's still green, but it has a little less bitter and a little bit of heat. Not much for an entire, recipe.
Yeah.
But I tend to upgrade from green pepper to poblano, and I did in this recipe. And then we mentioned here using orange peppers. So there you go. It's a little tie. So check out CK's Kitchen channel on YouTube. The newest video is called Tortellini Disaster.
Nice. And while you're on YouTube, check out our new YouTube channel talking about the big stuff. Obviously, if you're watching this right now,
you're already checking it
on
out.
YouTube.
But then subscribe and ring the notification bell if you're already here.
And I've been going back over the last day or two of putting all the old episodes up, so that we can. They're just it just has the logo up, so there's no video there. But I got a call from. Or I got a text from Paul when I sent it over to him, like, "Hey, I posted on YouTube." He was like, "I don't want my face on YouTube," and I was like, "Don't worry, it's not.
Don't worry, I'm not getting a strike against me because of what you were wearing."
Yeah. But I will say, as I always do, please, like, subscribe. You can email us at talkingaboutthebigstuff@gmail.com. If you're listening and you are enjoying, please email us and just say, hey, I'm really enjoying this kind of content. Like when you talk about this topic or whatever, I really hate it that you always make the joke about Mike's dad hating Matthew or
grandfather
whatever.
We don't know about.
We need some feedback. We're getting I get feedback from Sarah when a lot of times she'll listen to it while I'm like doing dishes. I'm 3 feet away from her and she'll be like, you're absolutely right. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, I'm listening to the podcast. And I'm like, which episode? And so she's like, oh yeah, you can't hear what I'm hearing. I'm like, that's how headphones work. Yep.
That's how voices in your head work too.
So for the most part, it's just been that feedback for the last couple weeks. I did get one of my coworkers who, nice. One of my coworkers who listens a couple weeks ago was telling me he was finally caught up, and he was like, "I'm a little worried about you with all that stuff about your funeral and getting hit by the truck." And I was like, "Oh,
our new business model."
Yeah. So yeah, if you are interested, in if you're enjoying it, just let us know. It's nice to get some feedback. Um, and that way we know how to improve and keep getting better. And if you're not following us on Instagram, I am putting up clips on Instagram. I'm going to probably put up a clip that's exclusive to Instagram that won't be on this podcast. But it's about the white Skittles and Logan's reaction. I won't be putting Logan up on it, but I'll be explaining his reaction. I'll probably record that right after I'm done with this episode, actually, because I want to put that up there.
Knowing his
Anyway,
GOP tendencies, I'm sure he prefers a white Skittle to a rainbow.
I think that you will actually enjoy the reaction. So it is not his GOP tendencies, but I want to keep it as an exclusive for Instagram. So follow our Instagram. It's also talking about the big stuff. It's pretty simple. We've actually, because apparently it's a unique name, we've been able to get it without any numbers and shit, which has been nice. So yeah. Anyway, everybody, we will talk to you next week.
And no matter how old you are, it's never too late to talk about the big stuff.
Nice. It's a little less sexual than usual.
Yeah. When you get old, that happens.